this is Bad Bob. I'm with BadBob's franchising office in Dyersburg, Tennessee, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about the new COM190 from Traeger. The interesting thing about this smoker is not only is it good for church picnics, competitions, especially the KCBS style and other types where you're cooking just 4 products such as brisket, shoulders, maybe chicken and ribs. It's nice because you can use 2 separate temperatures on this. The unit itself weighs about 740 pounds. It is about 8 foot long, 64 inches wide. The cooking chambers themselves are 44 inches long and 19 inches in depth. Now this is a pellet smoker. The pellet hopper for each one of these tubes, and like I said, each one are separate. These are wood pellet smokers. The wood pellets are right here below this work table, inside right here. Each one of these chambers holds 20 pounds each. And I'm going to move this over so you can see the actual auger mechanisms. You can see right in here, there's the auger mechanism that feeds the pellets. As these pellets are fed in, there's a fire pot. And there's 2 fire pots, one for each side. Each one of those produce 36,000 BTUs of heat. So on each side you're getting 72,000 BTUs of heat, and when you have both of them going, obviously you get 144,000 BTUs. The temperatures of this range anywhere from smoke, which is 160 to 170 degrees, all the way up to around 400 degrees. So to tell you about just a little bit about the pellets, this is a bag of pellets from Barbecuer's Delight. These are peach pellets. Pellets come in all kinds of flavors. You can get them in hickory, pecan, peach, cherry, apple, mesquite. There are just various types out there available. Today I've got pecan inside here, but this happens to be a bag of peach. Bag of pellets like this is going to run you somewhere, 10-pound bag, around $7.50. And you know, it's probably equal to about 10-pound bags of charcoal, really. You can cook all day on this with this bag of pellets on this side. And when you get through, you're probably going to have the amount of ash that would sit in the palm of your hand. These devices are really easy to keep up. They burn very green. So when you're traveling down the road with your Traeger, you got to make sure these pellets don't hop out on you, right? You don't want this flopping around. Well, Traeger has put 2 magnetic devices right here that are screwed in, so when you bring it down, it locks it in for you. This keeps your pellets from shifting out, or the top of this coming out while you're going down the road. Incidentally, I'd like to show you something about this smoker, some other things about this smoker. This smoker is very maneuverable, especially for one person. I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to spin it around for you. As you can see, I'm doing that out in grass, and it's very easy to maneuver like that. Really hard to do that with a lot of the commercial smokers that are available. In the front of the Traeger, we have a little storage bin. Now inside there, I've got a cover for it, and I use just a motorcycle cover for this thing. And the other thing that I have in there are my drip pans. The Traeger 190 has 4 places that you put drip pans. Each one is on the end of the tube, on the back and the front. As you can see, it hangs right there. And when you're cooking, that way the Traeger will drain its grease right down into the drip pan. So there's a place for 2 on the back and 1 more on the other side. One of the things on the 190 we saw that when we brought it to our office, the first ones we got in, we noticed that there is a little design mechanism you probably need to change on this if you're going to travel with it a lot. And here are some suggestions I can make to you. The thermostat is right here, and this is connected, of course, to what I showed you in front. The problem with this is this: during travel, these will shift. Now, you've got a couple of things you can do. You can just completely take these out and remove them, put them away, or if that's not convenient for you, what we've done, because that sometimes people will forget that, is we actually took a piece of metal, and this came from the back of a PC. You know those little metal slots you see in the back of a PC for expansion slots? We took one of those out and bent it, and we drilled it right in here. And what happens is, if this slams up against it, it keeps it from hitting this rod. If you don't do that, if you don't have something like this, you'll tear up this rod real quick, because what happens with motion is it will shift. These will fly over, they'll hit it and tear it up. But a couple of things we did. So I took a tie, I just tie it when I'm traveling, put this up. It kind of gives me the security I need to allow it to stay in there when I'm traveling. I don't have to worry about taking the grates out. The 190 has around 1,672 square inches of cooking space. Now the tube in here is 44 inches long and 19 inches wide. You can double that cooking space by simply getting one of the accessories from Traeger, or building one of your own, where you would build up another rack like this, and then you could add meat on the top. One of my favorite features of the Traeger are the drip pans and how easy they are to clean. Now what I do with the drip pans is each time I get ready to use it, and we just did an event yesterday, I just simply remove this foil and put a new piece of foil on. Now we're going to look right down inside and see where this, as you see, the drip pans come to the top and back down to the right, and they go into this piece of iron right here that's angled, and there's a hole here that leads down to the drip bucket at the bottom of each side. These are heat deflection plates. Now this unit, we've been cooking on it about a week, 3 or 4 times. I want you to see how much ash is in here. Basically, I've got a little ash here on the left, and that comes from the blower. Inside of this right here is where the rod is. This is what starts the smoker. Once the pellets go in there, and after 4 minutes, air blows out of these holes, and that creates a fire. When it reaches the temperature it wants, it stops dropping pellets, and those pellets will smolder and smoke, and it goes through that cycle. Alright, when you get your 190 and you get ready to go, you're going to notice that they have 2 plugs, one for each barrel, and they'll be hanging down about right here on each side. Now that is kind of inconvenient when you get somewhere, so if you take a look at that plug, there's probably a cable in there 8 or 9 feet long that's been tied up. And what we did, we took part of that out, we moved the cable underneath here, and then we took a tri-cable. Basically on this side there's 3 plugs that go into this 1 plug. And then we took large straps and strapped it on. So when we get to an event or going wherever we're going, we can simply plug right in here. Then we have power going to both sections, and we don't have all those cables hanging. It makes for a nicer, neater looking setup. Alright, so the 190, I want to show you one side that doesn't have the drip pans. I want to show it so you can see actually how the fire starts. I want you to know right now that you should never ever do this with the lid closed, because if you do, it'll blow the top up. It's not designed to do this. We're simply going to show you how this starts, and then we're going to be shutting this off after you see how it starts and it gets going. You never ever want to cook like this, okay? Always remember to put the heat shield back on, the pans back on. That way you won't receive that pressure and that heat that'll blow the lid up. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it on smoke. And then when I turn it on smoke, if you look right down in here, you'll notice that it'll start dropping pellets here in just a few minutes. The rod is right down below this, and it'll start turning red. And when that rod gets red, it will create a fire. Air is blowing out of this section right here. All these holes have air blowing. That's what's going to create and start the fire here in just a few minutes. We can turn it to whatever temperature we want, usually after 4 minutes, and we'll be able to turn it to 225, 250, and then it'll maintain from that point on. Alright, now you can see that the pot has dropped some pellets, the fire's starting. This is what's going to drive the heat up to that heat plate. It'll continue to do that. Once we get a fire going like this and the smoke started, we simply turn the temperature where we want it. You can notice that air is blowing around this, and that's what's going to cause that convection fill around through the cooker. It's going to give you that even cooking process. Once temperature is reached, it stops dropping pellets, the air slows down, and you get that smoking effect. So I'm Bad Bob. I was glad to show you about the 190 today. If you'd like to learn more about Traeger smokers, you want to come to one of my cooking classes, just check out www.badbobs.net and check out cooking classes. Click on that tab. You'll see all about what we do. We do everything from the backyard to competition. We do it with a lot of pellet smokers of different sizes, and we do some other type smokers too. But to tell you the truth, it's Labor Day, and we've been out here doing this, It's time for me to go get the PBR and a brisket and get started for Bob. Have a great one.